Was Sunday's massacre in Orlando preventable? There were a massive number of warning signs about Omar Mateen. We're now learning as a kid he celebrated the 9/11 attacks. He also threatened to kill his classmates a few years ago. He said he hoped police would kill his wife and child so he could be a martyr. And we've also reported that the FBI he was on the FBI's radar for 3 years. And just a few weeks ago, a gun store he visited alerted that FBI that someone tried to buy body armor and 1,000 rounds of ammunition.
We did contact authorities and let them know we just had a suspicious person that was in here, and there was nothing that would come of it. Our intuition was correct, and it's very sad that we had him that close. He was that close that law enforcement could have got their hands on him.
The feds never followed up because they didn't have a name. This week, the FBI's director says there's nothing different they could have done.
We're also going to look hard at our own work to see whether there is something we should have done differently. So far, the honest answer is, I don't think so. I don't see anything in reviewing our work that our agents should have done differently.
Well, that's scary. But the agency's former assistant director has a different thought on that. Is political correctness at the Bureau to blame?
There's some things that I would do. Get this wet blanket of political correctness off the backs of law enforcement, off the backs of the FBI. But the Bureau is being told about what they can do and what they can't do. They can't go sniffing around anything to do with Muslims. They can't go around to mosques. They can't do things that they would normally do. I'm not talking things that are off the charts. I'm talking about things that normally would be done. But the orders have come down from the White House.
Greg, is that possible?
It is. I believe it is possible because before you blame the FBI, the orders come from the top. These are all good people that are trying to do their jobs. And if the FBI actually followed their gut, they might actually get fired because if they actually looked at something unusual, that's profiling. And I mean, this guy, if he was a needle in the haystack, he was the space needle. I mean, you could see this needle from Mars, but it all comes down to EBI. Everything but Islam. Whenever there's an act of terror, it's guns, it's Christians, it's Republicans, but they can't say Islamism because it's too politically incorrect, and nobody wants to lose their job. It comes from the top. I think they lack the manpower to do their jobs. It's not about changing the FBI. It's about changing the way they do business. I would defend the FBI on this just because they didn't want this either.
Yeah. Juan, does that scare the bejesus out of you that Karlstrom said that at the FBI, if it has to do with Muslim, they have to be careful and maybe not investigate to the full extent?
Well, the Constitution protects people in terms of their religious freedoms in the country, so you have to be respectful of it. Now, the question is profiling.
The IRS wasn't.
Stop. And so you have to be respectful of course, concerns over impinging on religious freedoms. You don't want to do that to anybody. The question, what intrigued me, was he said it came from the White House. I've not heard this before, which it sounds political to me, but I'm not sure. If it's true, it's an outrage. But I've not heard this. I don't hear this from Jim Comey, who I think is a man of great integrity. I've not heard this from the assistants. I don't hear this from FBI agents themselves. I hear they complain about lack of resources at times. They'd like more people. As Comey said earlier in the week, you're looking for a needle in a haystack.
If true, it is extremely scary.
If true, but I have to say, having worked at the White House, I worked at the Justice Department too. I can't imagine an order like this coming from the White House to law enforcement. Now, the Civil Rights Division, or that might be a different ball of wax, because as Gorka was saying the other day, those are political appointees. That there's a point of view there. But in terms of law enforcement, I think it would be a huge red flag if someone from the White House has told the FBI back off if they're to me that seems a little far-fetched. However, I'm not the former deputy director of the FBI, and he is.
KG, so many clues,
but I think this type of thing does happen in departments. I've worked in DA offices, I work with AG offices, U.S. attorneys. At the DA's office in San Francisco, death penalties on the booking in California. We would not prosecute or consider any case for death penalty at the direction of our head DA.
Yeah, but
that's the way it was.
Religion, though.
No, but I'm saying these type of things where they say, okay, you know, don't harass Muslims or don't do this. I think it could be understood without it being put in writing as a direct order. When you see the DOJ not prosecute Black Panthers out at voting booths, right, at the voting polls, because they're not going to harass them, but yet they'll turn and prosecute something else, or you have the IRS going after. I mean, this has been over and over again happening during this administration.
Is Kalstrom saying that maybe that these clues weren't put together because the FBI was afraid of being considered Islamophobic?
I definitely think so. I mean, imagine if today they invented a religion that advocated the killing of gays. We would not tolerate that. However, this is a religion that advocates that. There was an imam in Orlando who said before this massacre, you know, calling for the death of gays. So we, or Homeland Security, is rejecting terms like jihad. They don't want to use terms like jihad or Sharia because they feel that alienates the youth in terms of propagandizing. However, an imam can talk about the killing of gays. To fight a cult, this is a cult, you have to use the terminology of the cult, because how else can you explain what the cult and its practices are?
Wait, what's a cult here?
What do you think it is?
I don't know what you're saying. Are you saying that entire religion is a cult?
Islamism is a cult.
Oh.
It's applying. Yes, it is. It's applying.
Are you saying
Islamism?
Extremist?
You know, I don't even know anymore, and I really don't care
right.
because I don't believe a religion affords any protection if they are connected to any kind of terror. Islamism is applying a religion politically. Sharia law is a part of Islamism.
Okay. I mean, so the theory, the kind of Islamism is the
is applying the religion's doctrine into your life and saying that you, Juan Williams, have to live this certain way. That's Islamism. That is a cult.
But you understand that Christianity, Judaism, all these, I mean, you could interpret it just as you did, because, I mean, clearly Christianity...
At times I have.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to be clear.
So
but
I would say
that, let me just pick up one
Christianity where it says if you're not a Christian, you will be killed. I'm not sure where that is. Well, I mean, that in Sharia law, if you're not practicing member of
well, as I understood
the Muslim
what Greg was
faith
saying,
and Sharia, and you don't come around, you're the infidel, and the infidel will be killed.
Well, I think we have a long history of people walking around with the scarlet letter and the like. Once you violate the tenets of Christianity, that you are cast out, you're a sinner, you're the devil.
Well, the Old Testament was old for a reason.
Well, okay. But what I would say that I think there's a reason not to harass Muslims in the United States of America. I think there's a reason not to harass Christians. I don't like any of it.
But harassment... It's not harassment.
It's following the lead and the evidence, building a case.
Believe me, our law enforcement officials follow leads with regard to mosque and Islamic extremists every day.
There's been a real reluctance to do so.
According to Kalstrom,
that's not what he said.
He said
that it's an order from the White House. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's massive, is it not?
That would be if it's true.
But it's part of the overall viewpoint of the administration. It's horrendous, but I don't find it so shocking because they won't even say radical Islamist terrorism. I mean, really? I mean, this is what we've been dealing with. Very selective prosecutions, punishing conservative groups, punishing with the IRS, with the DOJ, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, come on. It's very
even
politicized.
If Kalstrom's not right, for whatever reason, I'm not saying he is or isn't, but even if that's not the case, or misunderstood it, there were still so many clues. How in the world, if we have this many clues and this guy can still perpetrate a massive terrorist attack, the ones that don't show themselves the way he did, we're vulnerable.
So hindsight's 20/20. So in an investigation, you look back and you think, oh my gosh, there's all those dots. We should have been able to connect them. That's true in almost any situation, including San Bernardino and even 9/11. And you could go back farther from that. I was surprised on Monday when the FBI director said, based on our investigation, which was pretty much 4 hours old, there's nothing we would have done differently. And I thought they're going to have to eat those words.
Yeah.
Because at this point, especially with the wife, because, right, Kimberly, now the wife has skipped town.
Yeah. So
and we find out that the house was deeded over to the family.
$10. What a deal.
In advance of this. So, and the father is kind of alluded to. So maybe there were multiple clues. The thing is if you're in the middle of the haystack, you can't necessarily put it all together.
All I'm saying is if someone comes in and wants to buy 1,000 rounds of ammunition, some body armor,
but they did the right thing.
You call the FBI. The FBI says.
But they say they didn't have a name. But I wonder, like, did they have a picture?
Well, how about ask for the video surveillance in the gun shop? Every gun shop has a video camera so they don't get robbed.
They said they didn't, but maybe there's some video surveillance in the parking lot or the place next door. Let's find it.
That picks up a plate on
scary?
the car, etc.
You know what's scary in the long term? You watch the TV show The Americans, where the KGB infiltrates as a family. The FBI stopped inquiring in this guy because he got married, he had a kid, and got a job, which is actually, yeah, they said, oh, he has something to live for, don't follow him. But the terrorist goal is to infiltrate and blend by creating a family. San Bernardino, guy got married. So this is the next level. Yep. They're not lone. There's no such thing as a lone wolf anymore.
No, it's family jihad.
I wonder,
married with terrorists.
But this guy seems mentally unstable from taking steroids, beating up a kid in the 7th grade, and then stalking a woman.
And nothing good either.
Yeah, it was roid rage. No.
Yeah.
Jihad.
There you go.
I think this guy was mentally unstable for a long time.
Or he was a terrorist.
He's evil, and he's ISIS. How about that?